I was at watching a rugby game this weekend, actually, at a club out here, and with the fams and friends. And my daughter's one of her teachers at her school was playing. And at one point, his shorts got taken right down, so his bare ass was on display for everyone, and she was completely destroyed. She goes, "I can't ever have him as my teacher now." I said, "Well, why not?" "Well, I've seen his bum." It's like, yeah, that doesn't matter. You know, he wasn't doing it on purpose. It happens in rugby occasionally. She's horrified.
How did Tony feel about it?
She loved it. Big fan. She goes, "Now that's an ass. That's an ass."
Well, she's been missing it for how long you've been married? How long you've been married? She's been missing an ass for a while.
She's still looking for it. Yeah. It's Footy Prime, in case you hadn't realized already. What other podcast opens up with that?
Not a lot.
That was Dan Wong offending everyone.
Sure.
Jimmy Brennan's here. Jeff Cole's here. And I'm James Sharman. It's a small crew today, but that's okay. It's just, we're getting to the end of this summer of soccer, right? But really it's not ending because we got the European preseason kicks off this week, Jimmy. Already, the players are coming into camp today for the medicals. And this week, there's preseason games are scared. There was no break this year, was there?
Zero break for a lot of players. And they're not going to have a break because those that are going to the World Cup, as soon as the season's done, they're back at it again. So it's not much time to recover, that's for sure.
There isn't. Now, the Club World Cup continues. We'll have that in our special micropod. So make sure you subscribe and download to that as well, because that's also free, just like the Zone is all month. That was also free. So we won't talk about that so much right now.
No, but it's a good plug. It's a good plug.
It's a good plug. It helps our impressions.
Yes. And the other thing is, a micropod is actually smaller than a mini pod. So we keep getting smaller on that, right? Like it used to be, hey, join us on the Club World Cup DAZN mini pod. Now it's micropod. So it's probably going to be about 6.5 minutes.
I don't know. On Saturday, me and Craig, when we burned through, 20 minutes, right, JC?
22.
Yeah. Well, who knows? The micropod is growing before your very eyes. The Gold Cup, that's done, though. I know Peter Agruso put out a tweet and he tagged us on it saying how it was with a heavy heart he's watching the match. Obviously wanted Canada to be in it yesterday, but clearly Canada wasn't in it. We saw Mexico win again, Jimmy, beating the States. A late winner from Edson Alvarez. The States up 1-0, but let's be honest. The Mexicans deserved that. They were the better team in that match, despite a bit of controversy, right?
I agree. I think they were the better side. I actually enjoyed it. That was a great match. And I thought the Mexicans were playing. They were like the old Mexico, weren't they? That we're used to. That free-flowing football, good movement, tactically very, very good. And it was interesting too because the Americans tried to adjust. They changed on the fly tactically as well, trying to get the upper hand on Mexico, but they just couldn't. Mexico just got in too much of a rhythm and ended up winning the match. What's that? Their 10th Gold Cup now that they've won. But overall, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really good football for me. I enjoyed the match. Really good.
Having seen Mexico and how they've grown in this tournament, and perhaps they're not quite as bad as many people thought they were, which is stupid, really, because they've played better in recent months. When you look at that and you look at the States and what they did, albeit against teams that they should have beaten. I know it's not a full-strength U.S. team, but they should have beaten the teams they beat. Trinidad, Tobago, Haiti, Saudi Arabia, Costa Rica, Guatemala, right? If they'd lost those games, they would have been big shocks. But when you look at those and the performances, does that make you reassess just where Canada is right now in Concacaf? Because a lot of people are saying, we are the kings of Concacaf. Canada's the best team, the most talented squad. Do you still think that's obvious, or should we reassess perhaps a little bit?
Well, it's a good question. If we think tactically with this Canadian team, could we have beat Mexico? I'm not sure. I just think they were too strong. Just watching them yesterday, and even the Americans, I thought they were good. They gave a good effort yesterday. This was a team as well that we thought going into this tournament were going to crumble because of all the issues that they had. But You know, they ended up getting to the final. They went up 1-0 from Richards. But it didn't look like they were going to hold on because I felt the Mexicans just had too much momentum. But if this Canadian squad played against us, I don't know how those matches would go, to be honest with you, Sharms. I don't think we would have beat Mexico. I just think Mexico's just too good at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's honest and that's fair. And that's not to dismiss what Canada has. We know Canada's a good team who disappointed in this tournament, albeit a man down. But I think it's really too easy to write off Mexico and the US. We're just so hungry for something positive, and we have it with Canada, that I think it's important also to be, you know, all right, just like I said before, take a bit of a breath here. We're on the way up. We're okay.
I also, Sharms, it's nice to be thrown a question when the pros aren't here, because I saw what you did there.
JC's next.
No, but it's interesting because what Jimmy and you were talking about, we had got an email from Alex Begornia Lukasic, who just said, look, I try and listen every day. I'm not on socials, so I'm emailing, which is great. But his overall breakdown was, hey, Canada did well last year in the Copas. And that's what gave us our optimism, right? But when we look at these squads, Mexico's been winning consistently. And he says at the end, I drank the Kool-Aid and placed a small wager for Canada to win the Gold Cup at the start of the tournament. Watching the Gold Cup final, and this is exactly what Jimmy said, I think this Canada team would not have been able to pull out a win against Mexico or the US. So, you know, I think we've all been drinking the Kool-Aid is actually a good, I mean, it's not a great story because it's based on the Jonestown
Is that where
mass suicides with Jim Jones.
Jim Jones.
Yeah, Jim Jones in Guyana. So that's not great. But what is great is, you know, we bought into it because we were excited. And now I think what we have to do is take a step back, look at our results, and say, hey, we are the 30th best team in the world. Right now, Mexico just moved up from 18 to 16th. They're a rank behind. I just was looking at the FIFA. They're a rank one seed behind the US. So the top two seeded teams in the FIFA rankings in Concacaf made the final. Are we surprised? Maybe this aggregate, you know, they keep compiling the numbers over that period of time. We're exactly where we're supposed to be. And unless we start winning meaningful tournaments, meaningful games, and meaningful friendlies across the board, then we are where we are. We are the 30th best. And it doesn't matter about talent. It doesn't matter about, who we think is going to score as many goals or who's so talented. It doesn't matter unless you perform. And Mexico has been performing. What are we talking about? They beat us in the Nations League, right?
Yeah.
They now won the Gold Cup. And if we go around saying kings of CONCACAF when we do well, they are the kings of CONCACAF. Mexico, congratulations. How about that for a synopsis? Thanks, Alex, for the email.
I think it's bang on. Yeah, Alex. By the way, Alex, I want to read some more of his email. It was great. First of all, Alex, well done for not being on socials. I don't know how you manage it, but props, because I wish I wasn't. But I do wonder, Alex's actual name on his email is AI.
So you think AI, someone made this up?
This may not be human. It's too good at that an email to be human. It's begun. As I'm saying, it started. No, but Alex or AI, whoever he is, talks about the
air quotes, just so everyone knows.
Listen, I don't want to dismiss, because Copa was amazing. Okay, but he kind of very realist, a real realist here, and he breaks it kind of down. If you look at the first game, he says 2-0 loss to Argentina, expected result. Okay, second game was a 1-0 win against Peru. The asterisk is that Peru played down a man for most of the second half. The third game was a 0-0 tie against Chile. Another asterisk is that Chile was down a man for most of the game. Also, this is a historically bad Chile team, and they're currently last in World Cup qualification with just 2 wins. The quarterfinal was a 1-1 tie against Venezuela, and Canada advances on penalties. This is a respectable result, as Venezuela has gone a lot better in the last few years. Venezuela is close to qualifying for their first ever World Cup, and then the semi was another 2-0 tie against Argentina, lost to Argentina, same as the first game. So not to piss all over the parade of Canadian football and this amazing few weeks we had last summer, which was brilliant. He does make some points, though, okay, that we did get carried away. And that's okay.
And he did too, which is nice.
And yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean that Canada isn't going in the right direction, and Canada won't be a force in CONCACAF for years, because I think they will be. But yeah, it's important to just, like I said, take a bit of a breath and drink that Jim Jones Kool-Aid. And while you're writhing on the ground and vomiting, realize that we're not there yet.
Well, actually, that's kind of how it felt when they lost, right? We were all like people losing their shit. Yep, throwing up. We're a lot of happy people when they lost.
There were not. So back to the game yesterday, though, got distracted there. The handball that wasn't given, and George Sanchez's palm was right on the ball. And I know, Jimmy, at real time, real speed, maybe it wasn't that obvious, but the replays that I've seen, I mean, I understand why the US and why Pochettino is just completely just does not understand how that's not given. It was pretty blatant.
Yes, it did look blatant. It's CONCACAF. What do you want me to say?
Well, Poch says, he said there's 70,000 fans there, mainly Mexican, and that would have been a brave call for the referee, but don't know. You got to make that call, and the game could change then, right? If that's Canada playing, we're screaming right now.
Oh yeah, we're losing, just like the Americans were losing.
Yeah, I like Poch's actually comments about the fans, and something that we talk about a lot on this show, and how whenever Canada plays a home game, it doesn't feel like a home game. He says, I think we need the people, we need the fans. The fans have 1 year to realize how important are the fans in soccer. How important are the fans to be in the stadium, to stay with the team, to support, not only through Instagram, social media, or through behind the team. It's to be here and translate the energy. It's nice to know that it's not just us. Isn't it, Wonger?
You need the fans. I've never seen a sport, to be honest, that the home field fan has such a benefit for the home team. Like, there's a real sense of, hey, we can do this, even when they don't succeed, even when it's a draw. There's a opportunity for the fan to really play a part in that, and it's it makes a big difference. So when Jimmy and Craig and Dubs tell those stories of playing in Canada to the Jamaican beats during Caravana, or to the Honduras team that we saw remember when we went to Honduras and saw the guy with the weird head,
crazy head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. With the crazy head. It is kind of, it's distracting. I would say it's a distraction when your team and your team fans don't have that support, right? It must have been a bit of a distraction, Jimmy, when you looked around sometimes going, what the fuck is going on here?
Oh, it is. That the fans do become the 12th man. And even if, with the Americans being up 1-0, Mexico scores, and just hearing the roar from the fans, right? It is intimidating. You're like, oh man, here we go, because all of a sudden their fans get behind the team now. They get behind the Mexicans. The Mexicans now are on the front foot because the fans are behind them. They're encouraging them to go forward. And every time they start driving forward, the fans are off their seats and they're yelling. So you hear all this when you're playing, and you just know that that the tides are turning, so to speak. That they've got momentum now, and you got to kind of maintain them. And it's hard sometimes. And people don't realize the importance of the fans really does help the players and encourages the team.
What do you think we should expect at the World Cup next year?
Oh God,
I really wonder about this.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be difficult to get tickets for anyone, right? We know that how it works, the World Cup, lotteries, yada yada yada. But you think if you can't get a partisan Canadian crowd at a Canadian game at a World Cup on home soil, then what's the point? Is this just what we are? Or we're always going to be? I mean, do you think there is a concern that I mean, so much depends on who we're drawn with. Obviously, I get that. But I'm a little bit nervous about what that might look like next year.
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah,
I really do. I think there's a lot of talk in the football community, soccer community, that the World Cup's coming, and a lot of people are trying to get tickets now and looking to support the Canadian team. I think the Canadian fans, the Canadian footy fans, will be out in numbers supporting this national team in their own backyard, whether it's Toronto or Vancouver.
My concern is that if it is footy fans, then there won't be enough. But my suspicion is that, and my hope is that these will just be Canadian sports fans who want to see a World Cup. It's kind of cool, and that will fill it.
Sharms, I was thinking the comparison for me would be the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I say that they're always sold out. It's always pro Leafs, but it's corporate, right? It's very corporate. But every one of those corporate, whether it's it's Canadian Nestle's or Canadian Kellogg's, when they bring the beer companies, they bring their fans or they bring their colleagues, they're very pro home team. Even if they're sitting on their hands half the time.
They're giving a scarf and they're giving a towel and they're giving a shirt.
Yes.
So they must be fans.
Yes. That's right. And they cheer. But it'd be interesting to see how they're treating the voyageurs, the supporters, Canada's supporters groups, which we'll probably hear. I mean, we'll have a supporter on and find out all about that, because that'll be quite interesting.
Well, because generally speaking with World Cups, right, it's lottery system, and you put the games you want to go to, and then you keep your fingers crossed, right? That's how it's going to work. And we'll see how the Voyagers will be treated. Canada Soccer have their own, I forget what it's called now, their own fan group they'll be using for this, I believe, as well. And, will that embrace the Voyagers? Will it be too distinct? I don't know. We will find this out. But at the moment, we don't know we don't know the games. We don't know anything. It's still too far out, ticketing situation. But as soon as we know, you will know. And let's hope that we get lots of just seas of red in Vancouver and Toronto. If it's not, it'll be really embarrassing. Really embarrassing. Hey, this week, though, Canadian Championship kicks off again, eh? Remember that? The second legs?
Like that?
Yeah. Do you remember who's involved still? And it's so weird, isn't it, when they have such a big break between the first and second legs? I know they can't do much about it. It's just scheduling. Yeah. Do you guys remember? You want to guess?
Yes.
Jimmy knows.
Jimmy knows.
Are you doing the games, Jimmy?
He's covering it.
But I know.
All right.
I mean, look, the two games I'm really looking forward to is Montreal and Forge. I think that's going to be a great one. Forge is obviously 1-0 up. They've got to go up to Montreal. And I think Forge will be thinking to themselves, they've got a very good chance of winning this competition this year. And obviously, Montreal is not having a great season. And if Forge can get up there and get the result that they feel they can get, then I think they've got a good chance of possibly winning it this year. Obviously, Vancouver, they've tied already. Vancouver Whitecaps, sorry. They're going into their match 2-2 with Valor. That was a great first match between Valor and the Whitecaps. I thought that was brilliant. So, and then I think you got York in Ottawa and Cavs in Vancouver.
That's right.
It's the two games, the Forge in Montreal and Vancouver and Valor are the two games that I'm really looking forward to watching.
That Whitecaps game, given their lack of players at the moment, I mean, assuming Berhalter will be back, but is he going to be able to play? 2-2, you're at home. You should win that game, obviously. It's a big surprise in that first leg, but good for Valor. Fantastic performance. Yeah. But what strength will Vancouver be at? They should still win regardless, really. But there's a potential there for a real shocker. And I think that would be the biggest shock in this tournament's history, I think, wouldn't it be? If Valor beat the Whitecaps with or without, some of their stars.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it really would be. I mean, you're expecting Vancouver at home to win this game. And probably comfortably.
I mean, Valor's 7th in the CPL.
Yeah.
7th, right? Once again, a struggling season. So, we'll see. And mention there, York, they're down 2-1 against Atletico Ottawa, who are first in the CPL. Forge unbeaten still, eh? 15 games unbeaten.
And in second place. Yeah.
Yeah. Too many draws, Forge. Tony's always like, hey, guys, by the way, you might want to just think about this. Unbeaten. Yeah, Tony, but still in second place.
Yeah.
I like poking the bear. That is Tony. Our Forge, our resident Forge fan. He takes it so well, and he likes to give it back as well.
Well, it's funny, though, too, because I was watching the highlights of Vancouver versus Galaxy. And Vancouver, the Whitecaps, I think it was 3-0 for the Galaxy over the Whitecaps. And it did look like finally it's catching up with them, right? Like, hey, you don't have 6 of your starters. Everyone's exhausted. And because you've been playing even your second squad too much almost, right? They're no longer just coming off the bench. They're playing the whole season. You can't put, I mean, right now, Whitecaps are a point behind San Diego, which is also an interesting story because they're a expansion club. But it must, Jimmy, missing those players. Did you ever have to go through that with TFC, hitting these squads where you're not just injury, but when your top players are out? Or did you have much crossover in the extra tournaments and stuff?
Yeah, we did. We had quite a few situations where we had players that were injured and players that were away on international duty, and then you've got a depleted squad. And I remember there was a couple of times they were just bringing or signing anybody just to make up numbers because the squad was so
Rick
depleted.
Titus.
Yeah, remember Ricky Titus? I think even one time they ended up signing one of the scouts who was an ex-player just to bring him on.
But it's like when the Leafs, Jimmy, bring on remember the Zamboni driver or whatever? Like, right? Yeah. It was like, hey, we need a goalkeeper. Everyone's out. Just grab somebody. Who plays nets here?
Yeah.
Was Rick Titus, was he coaching at the time? He was coaching, right? I think
he might have been. Yeah, he might have been.
Was he in the academy now? Yeah. Amazing, though. I love those stories, though. It's like when the Zamboni driver beat the Leafs all those years ago. Right? Yeah. These weird stories.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Well, and also, did you see, you wanted me to bring this up, but Montreal is playing Forge. There's a reason why we think Forge might have a good chance this year, especially going against Montreal. The ball on Messi's foot looked like it was attached by, that game that kids, and it was usually a girl's toy that they put around their ankle and the ball and they skip through it. Yeah. Skip it? Is that what
Skip it. Doing 2 jumps, 2 hop. But the very best thing of all, there's a counter on this ball. So try to beat your very best score. See if you can jump a whole lot more. Skip it. That's why I'm on the show.
JC obviously had one.
Strange man.
Yes.
That's.
I wish I had one. My girl cousins all had one, but I didn't have one.
Yeah. Messi. So. That's what Messi looked like the other night, right? Like with the skip it ball. Like just rambling through Montreal's defense. It was, and then people cheering because they just saw something special, like JC singing "Skip It."
Can we just not destroy the Montreal defense and just acknowledge that it's Leo Messi doing Leo Messi things?
Oh,
can we, Jimmy? Or do we have to mention that was just awful defending?
Yeah, you can say it's awful defending.
You do? Oh, that ruins it. Does it a lot against a lot of teams in his career, Are they all terrible defenders?
Listen, Messi's embarrassed a lot of players throughout his career.
Mm-hmm.
And world-class players he's embarrassed. He's just a different level, isn't he?
Even now. Is that 2 goals and an assist in 3 straight games, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Some record at 37 years of age.
38.
Is he 38 now? Is he 38?
Yeah.
Remember when he won the World Cup? This will be his last World Cup. It's great that he's won it, in his last attempt. He won't be playing top quality football in 4 years' time. And well, you could argue that MLS isn't top quality football, but it's still pretty good. And he's still playing top quality football.
Maybe it's extended his international career playing in the MLS, right? Because you don't have to push it every single. We have seen his, when they do the heat. How far he's run. It seems like he's running a lot less, right? But
although
he's saving himself.
last few years he stopped running quite a bit as well, even at PSG. Right, a lot of walking around, but he still pops up in the right places.
Mm-hmm.
Just sees the game so different from everybody else, doesn't he? Just walks. He knows exactly where the ball's going to end up. He's so smart, so clever when he plays.
And then we want.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want go ahead, finish, because I wanted to talk about the Italians being gone.
Okay, no, I was just going to say, Jimmy, like, who was the most intelligent footballer that you played with? Someone that maybe they didn't have the technical ability, but they thought the game so well. Was there someone that if they just had that skill set, they would be next level?
Probably two defenders that I played with that were exceptional, just read the game so well, would be John Terry and Des Walker. They were two players where I was just like, wow, like they just read the game so well. They knew exactly where to be, knew where the ball was going, just knew runs that were going to be made. And they were that clever. They always got there first, right? Because they could just read the play. And I thought they were two brilliant center backs, and obviously they had fantastic careers. And
they had that technical ability too, didn't they? I mean, Des Walker had the injuries, right? If not for the injuries, Des Walker, I think, would have been considered one of the greats.
Oh, he was incredible. What a center back. Incredible.
John Terry had the controversies. Because sadly, he's, a lot of fans think back about that, and that's kind of clouds.
That's how I know John Terry. I just looked it up.
It's too bad because he's such a great player.
Really?
He was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Because Jimmy was saying he always knew where the ball was going to go. I go, he also knew where all the girls were, like where the girlfriends were going to go.
Well, that's why Jamie Carragher, right, who was a great centre half, really couldn't get in the England team because of Rio Ferdinand and John Terry.
Oh,
they were there, and he admits it. He goes, I think he eventually retired from England quite early because he goes, what's the point? I just go and I'm just, I'm a pylon on training pitch because these guys are going to be starting every game. Anyway, Wonga, sorry, you got some Insigne and Bernadeschi.
I was just thinking TFC didn't look any better, but it felt better, I think. And you know what? We'll get either JMO on, or maybe we'll reach out to Nesker on Waking the Reds and just go, hey, come on and talk about how it feels. Because just the weight of the salary being gone, at least you can make an excuse for a bad performance, right? Whereas, and as a fan, at least you have that built in, the excuse. Because otherwise, I know you're a huge TFC fan, Sharms. So
apparently, so I'm being told by everyone.
But it makes a difference, right? At least you can say, yeah, their two best players were just traded. Or supposedly their two best players.
Released.
So I'm still, it's quite. I find that that's going to be a. If I were Robin Fraser, I'd still leave. I mean, he's got to perform because it'd be a bad hire if you fire someone during the season or even next season. I think you have a couple seasons.
Oh no! The fact that they've done this now tells me that the hierarchy at TFC are well aware of what predicament they put Robin Fraser in. And Robin Fraser was well aware of the predicament he was signing up for as well. So, yeah, I don't think that'd be dumb to fire him.
No, they can't.
Right?
Having to fire him, you got two players that everybody knows had to move on. He's inherited a team that wasn't doing well over the last number of years. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time to, come the end of the season. They do have a lot of players that are out of contract. And I'm sure that the team there will be working on getting the right pieces and right players in place to make Robin successful. It's difficult right now. It's going to be a bit of a grind for everybody within the organization with Jason Hernandez and Robert Fraser and Keith Pelly. They know they got a big job in front of them, but it does take time to fix your roster. But it's MLS too, where come the end of the season, 3-4 new signings can change everything. You could be fighting for a championship, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen it throughout the league over the years, many, many times. So it's just getting those right pieces in place. And now they're freeing up some space. I think they'll be fine going into next season. I think you'll see a completely different team.
automatically they're more likable.
Yeah.
Automatically, right?
Yeah.
And I think the fans are going to have a lot more. I mean, the fans expect nothing this season. I mean, unless you're so one-eyed and so blinkered, and you really think they can salvage something this season. Most fans are like, you know what, we understand that this is a write-off, but we haven't got the guys making obscene amounts of money, one of whom doesn't really want to be here. It's obvious. Maybe the other one doesn't either. Straight away, they're more likable. Straight away, you're getting more minutes for players that actually want to be here and actually, give a damn. And yeah, they might lose more than they win. And they might, finish dead last. Who knows? But maybe they're going to run. Maybe they'll find something and just push it a little bit. But I think from the fan standpoint, and yeah, well, maybe we'll get Nesker on, get his perspective. Because talking about a one-eyed blinkered fan, our boy Nesker. But he's very honest too, in fairness. He's very honest. He doesn't hide his emotions back. No. So, I think that the fans are going to be have more of an appetite to accept failure this year than they would have done had those guys still been here.
Last thing I wanted to talk about before the micropod, what's the nanopod, was Jonathan David doing his medical. Look, I don't know John David. He seems to have an easy smile. He wasn't a lot of smiling going on in that whole Juventus thing, was there? It seemed like he wasn't embracing it. Wow.
Really? I saw smiling.
A lot of the pictures a lot of the pictures a lot of the photos just seemed very matter of fact. And maybe it's the extension of all hey, we've been thinking about this. He's been thinking about this for a few years, right? Of the next step. But it didn't, I've seen, when we've seen athletes embrace a new team, you've seen the social media, the smiles, all that. I don't think he was as smiley as I thought he might be.
He's the Iceman.
It's my expectation.
He is so calm and cool and chill.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. He's not the guy. He's not Fonzie. Right? He's like, he wears these emotions on his sleeve.
He's delighted to be there. Are you kidding me? Juventus. And maybe in some of those pictures, he's probably just a little bit overwhelmed as well, right? You're going to one of the biggest clubs in world football. There's a lot of attention that's on him. And they've got him going all over the place, taking pictures here and socials here. So it's probably just saying, I just want my hotel room right now. Just relax for 5 minutes.
How would you do, Jimmy, in today's social media? Because I did see him get off the plane and some dude did one of these. Like, it was like, what's the TV show we like on Apple? What's his name? Coach.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. Like, immediately, can we do a selfie? Like, an Ussie or whatever? Could you have handled that? Some stranger coming up to you, putting his arm around you, going, "Hey, can I take a pic?" Like over and over again. Yeah,
that happens. It happens. When you're professional, you're in that situation. It's part of the job, isn't it? Yeah, sometimes it probably can get a little bit too annoying because it's one after the other, but you still have to do it. You still have to pay attention to the fans at the end of the day, that they support you, and they're buying tickets to come watch, and you have to take your time and appreciate the fans. You have to do it.
Was selfies a thing when you played, Jimmy?
What's that? Selfies?
Was selfies a thing with the phones with cameras?
No, it was a lot of autographs. Yes, there was phones with cameras.
Towards the end. just towards the end there a little bit. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I think what, he looks good in the blue, black and white though. He just does. He does. Sometimes you look, it doesn't look natural. He looks good. It works.
It's one of my favorite kits. You guys. I love it.
It's such a classic.
Yeah,
such a classic. Yeah, black and white stripes, be it Newcastle, be it Juventus, be it Notts County, Udinese. They're black and white stripes. They used to be. They still are, I'm sure.
Yeah. What's
black and white stripes?
NHL refs.
Oh right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
NHL refs. Yeah, I love my Kerry Fraser shirt's my favorite.
That's right. Kerry Fraser.
Speaking of aging yourself, I put a Kerry Fraser line.
Kidding.
Okay. Well, that's it. It's like I said, the season continues, and we'll be covering, I guess, a lot more European, I would think, next little while as those
Women's Euro
seasons kick in action. Women's Euro, Rian Wilkinson's Wales lost 3-0.
Yep.
In the first, which isn't unexpected.
Nope.
I think the fact that they're there is just such a great story. So I'm not sure when they play next. When's Wales?
It's got to be soon. I should look it up real quick. Wait. But we in between, DAZN. Why don't you do that promo?
Yeah, well, listen, the Club World Cup is continuing. We're into our semi-finals this week, and it's still free to stream on DAZN. So download the app or go to DAZN.com, subscribe, and it's free of charge. And we'll be covering it for you each day as well. So after you listen to this, go make yourself a cup of tea and stick on the micropod. It'll be a short one today, I can promise you that much. Especially a much smaller micropod than usual. But, well, it will be. Let's be honest. No games, yesterday, right?
Yeah, we call it a quickie. We call it a quickie where we're
quickie.
from. Yeah.
The Club World Cup quickie on Footy Prime. You wouldn't even know we were there. See you later. Bye.
Well, Wales plays France on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. There we go. All right. Cheers for listening and watching and all that good jazz. See ya.
Say jazz or...